It's great to be here. Thank you for having me. I bring you very sincere and warm greetings from your comrades at Te Riu Roa. My executive in particular are thrilled I'm here because I'm sure they're making some outrageous decisions in my absence, but I'm sure there's nothing that can't be fixed. I just want to take a few moments of your time and thank you for your indulgence to reflect on the last 6 weeks and I guess ponder, so what? As has already been talked about this morning by Louise, our strength is in not just our similarities but our differences. We were nervous about stepping up and trying something that was basically pretty high stakes because everybody was watching that disaster, for that disaster. Our kawa and our kaupapa are sometimes quite different, but when it's about the tamariki, it's all the same. I also don't just bring greetings, but thanks. We are always overwhelmed by the way you guys, you're much bigger than us. And we thank you for every member and staff member who did so much to make the PUMs happen and work and be so successful. And that was a message that my executive asked me to bring to you from our conversations yesterday as they shoved me onto the plane. I need to acknowledge the leadership of Louise and Paul. That meeting we had with Michael, our General Secretary, a few weeks ago, and went, why not? What could possibly go wrong? But we were right, nothing went wrong. So I guess just a couple of things. I think our diversity in our viewpoint is really important. I think some of you who were handing out lollipops to your secondary comrades saw them go, okay, a lollipop, right. But it was fabulous. It elevated the mood and the spirit in the meetings. It elevated the opportunities in the media. And I wouldn't be surprised if someone proposes the odd lollipop for our PUMs in the future. And I know that for some of you in such large meetings, for us to be insisting on going into committee and standing orders all seemed a little bit quaint. But actually, I think it did add some gravitas, and when we got to the press conference right at the end, and the media were going, well, how do you know everybody agreed with you? You're just bullies and everyone just drank the Kool-Aid. It's like, no, we had a secret ballot, mate, and they all still agreed with us. So I think together we created a monumental event, and it was great. I think one of the interesting byproducts from that I got back from our members out in the regions was the local connections that we have made. Kānohi ki te kānohi, that is where we are going to continue to find opportunities, good opportunities to work together. So Riki, Karen, if she's here, yeah, I'll be there on the 26th. We're going to have some great fun at Pukeariki as we celebrate World Teachers' Day with you. Right, I guess that was my RSVP. Something else that came out of that I've had feedback from members is that, forewarned is forearmed. And I need to acknowledge the very real and brutal reality that you so powerfully and generously shared with us, your early childhood educators and your support staff. I acknowledge your struggle and the, like I say, the generosity with which you say, we've got this and you don't want it. And so good luck. I know you've got some big struggles ahead of you next term, and we're beside you with that. And I guess on reflection, we talk about forewarned is forearmed, and to be able to be here last night as you celebrated Te Whāriki, that has implications not just for our tamariki who end up in Year 9 in my classroom, that they are strong, vibrant, capable young people and learners, but actually for the New Zealand curriculum, for Te Marotanga o Aotearoa. And I guess forewarned is forearmed, because you don't want what we've got. We have never been able to realise the opportunities of those curricula, because we have league tables, we have 85% targets with NZEI, our curriculum is narrowed, and we have league tables. Magazines, the biggest selling issue of North and South every year, the league table. Which is the best school? So protect that taonga, keep up that national standards fight, because the opportunities that are lost when that is encroached upon is tragic. So anyway, that was the Cassandra moment. I'll go on to Pollyanna now, shall I? No, not just yet. I have to stick being Cassandra for a moment. So now what? We've had these amazing paid junior meetings, and we are fighting for better funding. But it's a broad whirl, and at the moment the focus has been on the bulk funding fight. I've had a bet with one of my colleagues. Some of you will have worked with Tom Haig. There's a little bit of beer on it, and I'm worried that I'm going to win, because I think in October Cabinet won't drop the bulk funding because there's too much in it, especially given the Education Act update that got passed, and I'll get onto that in a moment. You know, Bill English was really clear that for him it's about locking down VoteEd, and when the biggest part of VoteEd is paying for the profession, he doesn't like that. But it's bigger than just Bill. It is an enabler. Global budget, I suspect, won't be off the table for a while, and that is because it is a significant enabler of some of the aspects of the legislation. So when a few weeks ago at the outset, we knew about the damage caused by bulk funding and we were prepared to stand up, but to be honest, we didn't know the half of it, because a couple of weeks ago when we decided to stand up together, the Education Act Update Bill passed its first reading in the House, and I know there are aspects of it that really concern you, but probably one that maybe would have a more immediate impact on secondary schooling is the cools. Okay, when you look at the bill and the regulatory impact statements, you can see why remaining committed to bringing in a global budget which enables schools to cash up a teacher remains very appealing to some. And this bill, and I'm going to use our ministry's own words here, it will enable corporate entities to be accredited as schools. The ministry doesn't talk about an education system that involves people, teachers, students. It talks about a market. How dare they? A market. It's shameful. I do teach economics as well as drama, and I know that bodies corporate, perfect combination for politics, eh? Bodies corporate don't enter a market unless there is an incentive and they've got access to resources. You could argue that you can get that now in our new education market through the global budget. When I read the Cabinet paper attached that preceded this legislation about the privatisation of online learning, the Cabinet paper was really clear about the risks. The risks are to rural schools, small schools. My senior curriculum in my rural secondary school. How dare they take those opportunities off my students? How dare they? And cash it up. And they have been honest about those risks, and they are still going to pursue them, because it is about profit. It is about privatisation. So, now what? We have built relationships at a national level and at a local level. We are engaging our members, and we're getting attention. So now what? We've worked together. How do we make the most of this? Ko Wairau te awa. I'm from the Wairau Valley, from Marlborough, and our river there is a braided river. And it's a strong river, and it manages to get to the sea despite the odd shingle bank and a few rocks, because it is nimble, it has tenacity, and it finds its way. And I believe that is where we will find the advice and the guidance to find our way to work together. When we find moments to come together and be strong, we will make progress, and sometimes we need to go off and do our own thing, and we will continue to make progress. And at some point, we will get to the ocean, called better funding. So I acknowledge that while we need to keep fighting the bulk funding battle, some of your priorities will shift to winning the support staff battle you've got ahead of you, and yeah, good luck with that. You're tough, tenacious. And for us, next term, we will be turning to mobilising our members and our communities to make submissions on the Education Act update. The challenge is, of course, it is massive. There's massive changes to school reporting and all of those things around that. But for me, I guess our number one priority is about mobilising around the online privatisation. I need to be clear, like I say, I teach in a rural secondary school, and access to distance education is critical. Our students need to access courses that we can't offer. It is an opportunity to extend our students, not just across the curriculum, but up to university. And distance education is critical for those students for whom getting to or being on a real campus is not the best option, or it's just not possible. We support distance learning. What we support is the strengthening of a national framework. VLN, Te Kura. We need that to be strong for our tamariki. That is not what this legislation does. This legislation is only about privatisation. This is not about giving good access to our students to distance learning, whether it's all of their learning or supplementary to being in a school. So this isn't an anti-online fight, this is an anti-privatisation fight, and we have to be really clear about that. The Minister's quite happy for us to be distracted into an online conversation. So we will be hopefully, organising some public meetings, and actually it feels a little more possible knowing that we might be able to call up our mates from NZEI and say, join us. I'm really looking forward to sitting down with Chester Borrows, my local MP, and asking the man who's so proud about integrating a private school that was falling over in Whanganui, what he's doing about saving the rest of the schools in his electorate. Our most vulnerable schools are in blue electorates. So we need to go and take that challenge to those people face to face, and they need to take that challenge back to their caucus. I'm looking forward to it. I think that we can build on the success of the last few weeks, and I think we will be starting with World Teachers' Day. So be gentle with us, because it's new for us to be, waving lollipops and having picnics and things like that. Kia kaha, kia toa, kia mana wānui, nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.